Today in the Smuggler's Room, we're going to work on a little cabinet that I made. It's nothing special to it, it's just a cabinet. Now, cabinets are pretty good for storing things, and I made a lot of drawers for this one. But let's face it, you don't come to the Smuggler's Room to watch me do woodworking and build cabinets. That being said, shop organization is important. It allows us to be more efficient on our projects. But it can't be just a cabinet. So today in the Smuggler's Room, we're going to geekify this electronic storage cabinet. That's coming up. What's up, you awesome geeks? I'm Brian, and welcome to the Smuggler's Room. This week, this chubby geek is getting a grip on his electronics hoarding problem. We're bringing order to chaos, structure to that which brings us blinking lights that tells us that our projects are complicated machines capable of complex functions. Or that we just use so many LEDs that we can potentially cause a seizure. Either way, we're going to get a grip on this mess and bring some order to all this chaos. Let's get into it. Now, the base of this project is a small cabinet, which we went ahead and built before we even started today. If you want to learn how to build a cabinet, I'm going to leave a couple of links in the description below that'll walk you through the basics of it. But I wanted us to get to the good part. The cabinet itself is pretty simple. I have 7 drawers that are about the right size for all the electronic stuff that we need to fit into it. And I'll go ahead and tell you right now, it's constructed out of some of the worst material I've ever used. It's stuff I had left over that we purchased at the big box store. Not typically the type of material I want to build cabinets out of, but it's strong enough and it'll all get covered up in the end. Now, this all starts with inspiration. I picked Tales from Galaxy's Edge that I play on my Oculus. This is a great source of inspiration, and with the VR set, you can get a good look at all the texture and environments up close. I particularly love Cecil Slack's Cantina. I think I'm saying that right. It looks like the place was thrown together with leftover parts, and that's 100% my brand. This door here, this was the total inspiration. So I took a couple of snapshots and then went into Adobe Illustrator to create some of the files, and then sent that stuff over to the laser cutter. Okay, let's talk really quickly about the laser cutter. As a matter of fact, let's talk really quickly about all the different types of tools. I know that when we bring out the laser cutter, we always get comments to some degree of someone saying, well, I can't do that project because I don't have a laser cutter. The truth is, these patterns, these designs could be cut out of wood with a jigsaw. You could cut them out of foam with a razor blade. You could cut them out of styrene with an X-Acto knife. The point is, don't let the different tools dissuade you from trying out a project. The whole point of what we do around here is we're hoping to fuel your imagination, to give you a little inspiration or a spark to get an idea going that you can't let go of until you make it. That's the goal. So don't let the tools hang you up, and let's get back to the project. In the end, I didn't go with these, but I wanted to keep them in here to show you my process, but also to show you that you can use multiple layers of different materials and different shapes, and that can also add a lot of depth to this sort of thing. I chose a different route later that you'll see, but you just never know until you try it out. say with any certainty that I'm breaking new ground. I've never seen anybody do drawer faces the way I'm trying to do it, but I'm sure there have been people in the past that have done one full design that they're trying to put across a drawer face. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply putting it in place, and then I'm going to measure up to the first drawer face, mark that, and cut it on the table saw. The spaces I have between the drawer faces is 1/8 of an inch. So in theory, I should be able to cut it, put the first drawer in place, put it up here again, mark the next one, and move on my way down. And with any luck, this will work. So yeah, if not, then I'm starting over. Take some double-sided tape. I can use Bessie clamps.
Aw, Bessie.
Oh, Bessie. I can put these here and here, and then I can clamp them down. Clamp it in place. Then I can do the pilot holes. This is one of those projects that I'm literally making it up as I go. So normally that you would probably install a drawer face a much different way. I wanted to do it this way because I haven't decided what the drawer pull situation is going to be. I'm going to get all the faces on first, and we'll figure that out as we go. So I know if there's any woodworkers out there, cabinet makers, you're probably screaming a little bit, but it's just how it's going. Then there it is. Okay, we've kind of reached the essential purpose of this cabinet project. I have a lot of electronics that are massively disorganized. Yeah, it's a problem, and it's been one for a while. And I keep purchasing more LEDs and more of this and more of that. And then it gets shoved in those drawers, and it's a nightmare. So I want to implement, with the use of our foam core friend here, this is going to be a simple, easy, cheap way to make dividers and organizers for the drawers, which are painted and drying. Because recently I got the soldering station all cleaned up. That's all clean and ready. We need to organize this. I'm going to dump out every single thing I have on this table. Oh boy. Clearly I have an issue. Let's see if we can get this organized. So let's talk a little bit about the foam core. It's not typically what I would use to make something like this, but there was a couple of different factors that I wanted to take into consideration. Number one was cost. It's fairly cheap. These were $2.25 a sheet. And the second was, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to use these drawers and all the components inside. I had thought about laser cutting all the different compartments and making it super nice, but I don't know how I'm going to use it. So the foam core allows me to build basically a storage solution without the cost of designing something that I'm going to use expensive material that I'm then going to have to replace. So I love the idea of the foam core as a solution for that. I watch a lot of Adam Savage, and one of his philosophies on shop infrastructure is something I think is really valuable, and that's that he pays attention to how he uses different things within his shop to determine its usability overall. Is this easy to use? Do I resist using a specific tool, or do I just dump stuff in that particular drawer because everything's a mess? Long story short, I'm kind of just explaining why I chose the foam core route initially. I think eventually, 6 months, a year from now, after using this, I'll determine what I want to do going forward. And then we can use a more finished material to do that. Normally when we do these videos or these episodes, we try to stick to just the building and not let me ramble, because I can ramble. But I've kind of run into something and I want to walk you through it, but there's a little bit of history behind why this happened and mistakes get made. So I'm an incredibly impatient person, and I'm also easily distracted. The project you're watching right now is a perfect example of distraction. We have room builds to do, we have costumes to make for Star Wars Celebration. We've been sponsored by a few people, and I just decided I'm going to build a cabinet for the shop because I needed it. Those kind of things drive poor Carissa crazy, as well as rambling. So as she's editing this right now, I'm sure she's laughing. Here's the point of all that. Because I threw this curveball at us and decided to build an electronic storage cabinet, which does help with infrastructure and success in future projects, there's the constant need to go fast. And it hasn't gone very fast. We're likely going to be late in delivering this episode because I'm still scrambling to try to finish it. And I always say I can do that in a day or a one-day build, and I know that it can't be, and sometimes it goes longer. The point, here it comes. In a lot of our cabinet projects, there is kind of this deep red color. That deep red color is nothing more than the red primer. And you spray that primer on there, and then I get a nice deep color. Someone in the Star Wars Room Builders group recently said that when they use this, it doesn't look the same as when I use it. The secret ingredient is to add the matte clear Rust-Oleum over the top of it. And what that does is it gives it a nice deep red color. And it also protects the paint. So what is the point of all this? Is being behind on this project and then rushing has caused something to happen to me that hasn't happened in a while. And that is orange peel. What is orange peel? Orange peel is that ugliness. You get kind of an orange peel effect on your paint job. It happens for a number of reasons. In my experience, it happens if the paint is too cold, which is why you should always warm your spray paint in a warm bucket of water. It can also happen if the underlying color or paint hasn't fully cured. There can be a little bit of a reaction. So yes, you should always warm your paint. And then again, if the underlying coat is not fully cured and you spray over the top of it, you can get an orange peel effect. We have a couple of options. First is sand it, prime it, do all the steps over again, which is, this case is more likely going to push the project out, or we can utilize it as a weather effect. If you just kind of put some dirt and grime and things over it, it might not turn out that great. So I'm going to do kind of a mix of different techniques until I can make it look like it's sort of on purpose. But I wanted to point all that out to you because I know that the background story might not be all that interesting, but I easily get distracted and I put us in these kind of positions because we work full-time jobs and then build the projects. And if I change up our schedule or throw in a project randomly, it really sets us back. So when a mistake like this gets made, it makes it even more entertaining for us. Okay, let's fix this problem. Decided to add a couple of details. I just kind of like some little bands of detail. They all have a little bit of a different style and a little different detail. Sorry guys, I added this greebly here as a detail off camera. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. It's actually a spring that was behind an old Mac monitor. It's not a drawer pull. I wanted to put it on now because I wanted to weather around it while I'm doing all of this other weathering. One thing I'm trying to improve on with weathering is using more color because it's not all just black. So I've got this yellow in here and I'm just lightly with the makeup brushes because they're so soft. I'm just adding the slightest bit of that yellow color to some of the browns and the black undercoat that I have. And it's just a tiny bit. Right here is where that orange peel was. I'm using the yellow and I'm almost dry brushing that orange peel mistake I made. Anyway, use color when you're weathering. Use more colors than just the black or just a brown. I think I've got 4 or 5 different variations, including even a little bit of an olive green. It's starting to add kind of a really neat texture to everything. It provides another layer, another depth to the paint job. In the end, I only ended up using the foam core for the top drawer. I have a lower drawer for the pre-wired LEDs and some odds and ends, and this small removable tray for some of the essential parts I need when working on the soldering station. All the other drawers I had little bins from storage boxes that I salvaged, and I was able to put some really good organization together. And I know all the trim on the inside of these drawers is unpainted or has overspray from spray paint. The truth is, it's a shop project. I didn't have time to get to it, and I'm still okay with that. I love the look of this cabinet as well. You know, this shop is really becoming another room build. Yes, it's a shop, but the aesthetics is starting to come alive. My brain is full of all kinds of ideas for this shop, ways that I can make it look otherworldly or out of this universe and still bring a ton of functionality, storage, and efficiency for building projects, and I'm kind of excited about that. So we hope you enjoyed this project. We hope it gave you a little inspiration to build your own cabinet or to take a cabinet you already have and modify it. because either way, you'll be building something out of nothing.